We live.
We live.
We live, fellas. We live. Welcome to Catfish Weekly. I'm Patriot James. We got Mark with Catfish and Crappie, and we got Roger with Muskrat Adventures as a guest tonight with us. Mark, I appreciate you stepping in for Mr. Lyle. I think he's getting along pretty good, but he has some good nights and some good days and some bad days. So appreciate you stepping in with us, fella.
I'm happy I get to join you guys tonight in my angry fishing t-shirt. I've been waiting for this forever. Has special meaning to me. If you guys don't have one, you need to get one. Check this out, man. But who's this remind you of? Let's hear it out in the chat who that reminds you of.
Who does that remind you of? Let's just get
well, that can go a lot of different directions there, Mark.
All I know is I'm never that angry when I'm fishing, that's for sure.
No. I got to shoot.
I don't know. It depends on
when there till the time I come off.
Oh yeah, it depends on if you like old Matthew that day and that boat cut across all his cotton picking lines. Then you're gonna have a pretty angry face.
This is true. Very true.
But guys and gals, we do appreciate you joining us on this great Monday night, and we'll try to bring you some great information, pick Roger's brain a little bit. He's fished with quite a few great fishermen that's been around for a good long while. And I see you fishing for Freedom Hat. Did you get to go out there to that, Roger?
They didn't have it this year, but I've been for the last 2 or 3 years in a row.
Man, I wish
you everybody I run into that once you go to that event one time, you're hooked. That's it.
I mean, Lyle tried to talk me into flying out there last year, and then it was canceled. But I'd have to fly it. It's just too far for me to drive.
Oh yeah, that's a long one.
But we got.
I try to support them as much as I can. I truly enjoy that event. It's my favorite event of the year.
Oh, I'm sure it is, and hopefully that we can. During my tournament coming up, we're gonna have quite a few veterans that's gonna come out and join us. And I'm working on making maybe next year being a whole weekend ordeal. The county ain't wanting to give nothing because of that crazy governor we got. Ain't giving the go ahead, and he's trying to shut us all back down again. So, hopefully everything will loosen up by next year for the tournament. At least we can have a big bash. But I mean, it'll never be nothing like what Fishing for Freedom is, but I still want to give recognition where recognition's due.
Yeah.
All right, let's Mark, let's give a shout out to a few of these people that's come in here. They do support us all. We got the Cross family. We got Katie Collins, Finn Sticker, Creole, M.O. Creek Fishing. I guess that would be Missouri Creek Fishing.
Absolutely. That's Robert over at Missouri Creek Fishing.
Oh, there you go. We got Fishing with the Chad, the Head Hunter, Ernie Brown. Avid's in the house. There's Mr. James Dockery. Jason Ward. You had to excuse me. I grabbed the wrong glasses. I grabbed my driving glasses instead of my reading glasses. So
I see the Fishing Magicians in there. Yeah, I saw Skip in there as well. Palmetto Cats showed up. LG Bass is in there. Mike Greenwell, Mike Irvin, Mike Sampson. What's up, Sampy?
Paul Smith's in there. JP3.
Yes, sir.
We got all kind of great people. We appreciate each and every one of you, men, women, children, kids. We love you all to come in and watch. Roger, let's pick your brain just a little bit. Everybody pretty much knows what you fish in and your rods and reels and stuff like that. But let's take it back a few years. What actually got you started chasing the catfish? Not just the eaters, but actually decided that, I want to chase a fish that's going to stretch my line.
Well, I'm probably about 13 years old. I got a funny picture I'm throwing up on Thursday for Throwback Thursday, but I was probably about 13 years old, and I caught my first flathead, and he probably wasn't 10, 11 pounds. But up to that point, I used chicken liver and whatnot, caught, eater-sized fish, small fish.
Right.
Once I caught that flathead, I was like, man, that's a way more fun than what I've been doing. And as I got my teens and 20s, I was a dad and did all that stuff for a while. But eventually, I started thinking, man, I want to catch some big catfish. And unfortunately, my knowledge and stuff didn't take me beyond a pay lake at that point in time. And I I was one of those guys that went to a pay lake because I wanted to catch a big fish, and I thought I had a better chance of catching a big fish. And I really didn't have much knowledge or access to rivers that I thought. And then finally one day, my buddy Herb Everhart, he's in a lot of my videos. He said, "Man, it ain't the same. I'm telling you, you catch one out of the river, it's totally different." And by God, we did. We went down. I had that pontoon boat of mine, and we put it in the river. Man, we started catching fish out of the river, and that was it. Done. Sold all my pay lake gear. Told everybody I'm out. Got educated on how these pay lakes are affecting our river down here, especially on the Ohio. It's bad in our area, and I've been hooked on the river ever since. Never looked back.
Well, Roger, you actually, guys like you that's been in the pay lake scene before. This is a perfect opportunity on this show, on Mark's show, on your show, to actually bring in some education to steer these guys away from it. The more that we can steal away from them, the less likely they're going to leave us to go to them.
Right.
That education. So I appreciate you telling us that and giving us the lowdown on it, because the people that's in here tonight, if you don't go in and see some of the videos of these fish being caught, it will piss you off. When you start seeing these catfish with big heads and little skinny bodies, they're starving to death.
Yeah.
These people are not going to, they would go broke trying to feed those fish in those ponds.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The amount of bait fish they would have to support in them lakes, they'd go broke trying to do it. So I appreciate you letting us
I've seen them feeding them dog food, just 50-pound bags, one after another, dog food in the lake. Yeah. During a tournament, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to fish.
Yeah, them catfish will start eating like carp, sucking that stuff off the top of the water because they're starving to death.
Yeah. It's a bad scene, man. Once you go by a couple dumpsters plumb full of trophy fish, dead, turn your stomach, and that's it. I mean, it's.
And what's crazy, if them fish if they would have daggum, I didn't do that. Lyle must be messing with it. If they would have another lake that wasn't allowed to be fished or whatever, and rotate those fish, and I mean, those big fish are not designed for that type of water. They're not. Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of the carp lakes around here, the pay lake carp lakes.
Yeah, the closest we get up. Yeah, the closest we get up here is like farm raised trout, but that's about it. I have no exposure to the pay lakes that you guys have down there, but everything I hear, it's not something that I'd be interested in. Yeah, that's, from my understanding, it is, and it's always cool to see that somebody's actually admit that they changed their ways and stuff. So mega kudos to you. Also, Dan, exactly. we got a super sticker from Danny S4E. Thank you very much on behalf of Lyle and James. We appreciate it.
I missed that. I seen the red pop up, but I missed the question. It went by too fast. What exactly does that even mean?
They donated a little money, and rather than put a comment, that lets you use a sticker. So
okay, we just got another $5, and we appreciate that from JP3.
Yep, thank you, JP3. We appreciate it.
So when you finally made that transition, you say you sold your pay lake gear. What are you talking about? Your stands and stuff? I'm sure you didn't sell the rods and stuff because you can still use them.
I did for a while. I used the rods for a while. Then I realized it's hard to land a fish on a boat that's 8 feet wide with a 12-foot rod.
Oh, so you was using real long rods in the pay lake?
Yeah, I had 11 and 12-foot surf rods.
Okay,
so I was one of those guys. I wanted to cast clear across the lake if I wanted to.
See, most lakes around here, they got a rope down the cotton picking middle of them.
Yeah,
and every one of them will drop their base right at the cotton picking rope. Every one of them. Boom, 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 boom. So that's where all the bait's concentrated at. So
but I got rid of, I just got rid of those rods and stuff, and I had some stands and stuff. I just got rid of all that stuff, and started focusing on my pontoon. And we river fished out of the pontoon. That was a 30-foot long pontoon I had.
Big one, yep.
And, it's great for low current situations. but I really enjoy high current. I enjoy fast, flooded, muddy water. Something about that nasty water gets me going. I've caught my biggest fish in the nastiest water.
Oh, yeah.
You can't
So
turn
what was it like
sideways in the nasty water.
So the first time you went out of the river was it with Herb the first time you went out?
Yeah.
So what was it like that first time you went out there with him?
I mean, to be honest, it was kind of overwhelming because I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what I was fishing or why I was fishing it. Luckily for me, he had experience, so he kind of showed me what he was looking for, and areas that he had fished before, and he said, "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to check it out." This one, and I was blown away. You
just wanted more after that, huh?
Yeah. It's just it's a thirst for knowledge, really.
Absolutely.
And I've only been doing this honestly, maybe 3 or 4 years, chasing these fish. Prior to my experience, once I got a boat, it was game on.
Well, I like what you just said, because guys and gals out here, there's a lot of people out here with a lot of experience. And just like Roger said, he went out with somebody that knew the river. A river can turn very deadly real quick on you if you're not experienced dealing with that kind of current. So don't be too prideful to say, "Hey, somebody take me out. I'll pay for gas, food, drinks, everything. Take me out. Show me the ropes. You ain't got to take me to your honey holes. Just take me out. Show me the ropes. Show me what not to do and what to do."
I'll be 100% honest with you. That is my biggest passion right now. I've fished with quite a few people in chat here, and I've made some fantastic friends. And I don't know everything by far. I've got just enough to get me by, but I love that experience I got first time with Herb taking me out and sharing what he knew. Just started the passion and the fire under me. And so every opportunity that I get to pay that forward, I jump on it.
There you go.
There's a lot of people here in chat that I fished with. There's a lot of people here in chat that I plan on fishing with, when the stars align. And I love taking them out and showing them, the electronics, whether I'm on their boat or my boat, trying to go through a little bit of what I know and teach them what I can to put that fire in them and to give them a little bit of confidence to get out there and get after it on their own, especially folks that's never been to the river.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Now, when you say that you went out with him for the first time and you look back at that, what was one of the most important things that he taught you that day about the river?
The biggest thing he taught me was reading the river. So I was, Pay Lake don't have no current seams. But the biggest things that he taught me at that point was, reading the banks and reading the river. So, the story kind of goes that most of the time the bank will do exactly through the water what it's doing out of the water. So if you got a big, big point coming down off the big hill coming down, chances are it's going to continue to go down there underneath the water just the same as it did off the land. And so a few things like that is kind of what got me fired up and going. After that, I kind of just taken off and I just like a sponge. I'm trying to soak up everything. Now that I think I'm teaching him some things. He's kind of old school, which ain't nothing. That boy catches fish, but
when I asked you that, I mean, I'm sure that he went over some safety things of what not to do and what to look for that could be in a dangerous situation. I've heard Lyle and Doc and them talking about fishing around those wing dikes. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to get too close to that point of out there at the end because of the way that current works, your pulls on your boat. That's the little bitty details. A lot of people forget to tell because they've done it every day. They're so used to doing it that they forget to share that knowledge. And it ain't that they don't want to, it's just they don't even think about it because it's becomes second nature. Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to hit you up and ask you some of these questions.
Yeah.
Was what else did he tell you I'm talking about your first day out there with him? did he tell you to look for those eddies? Did he tell you to look for daggum? Like in a small river, you see a ripple. When you start seeing those ripples, just like Flint Hill was talking about on his videos, that's telling you there's something underneath that water causing that water to do that. Right. Are they some of the things that he was talking about on the river that you need to look out for that?
Yeah, when it came to anchoring, I had no idea what I needed to do or what I should or shouldn't do. And, obviously pointing your boat into the current and making sure that you have control of the boat. We talked about, and I still do it to this day. We talk about having a sharp knife at the front of the boat and the back of the boat for your anchors.
Yes.
Because you don't know. When we started, we had the high river don't get current like, what a lot of other, Mississippi, Missouri, a lot of these other guys get. We're talking mile and a half of current. So at the time, it's not real. At that time, it's not real dangerous. I mean, I like to fish flooded waters now that I got the experience.
Right.
But then I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have even tried it. But, thinking about just simple stuff, I'm trying to dumb it clear down as far as I can. It's hard to remember back then because there's just so much stuff I piled on since that time.
Right.
But yeah, as far as anchoring up in the current, paying attention, I do remember he kept saying, keep watching forward. Don't get so caught up on your rod you forget to look behind you. He said, because you always need to know what's coming. The big tree coming down the river and mess your day up.
Absolutely.
A barge coming through, man, those things, and to this day, they still sneak up on me. Those things are incredibly quiet for as big as what they are. They will sneak right up on you. And so you've always got to have an eye on the back of your head to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a compromising position.
Oh, yeah, those big old trees coming down through there with them root balls and stuff like that, they might not hit your boat, but if they grab your anchor rope, you having a bad day. If you ain't got that sharp knife, a buddy might have learned the hard way fishing behind the dam on Wiley in a canoe. His daddy worked on wash machines, so he'd use old wash machine motors as his anchors because you're going to lose it and then rock.
Yep.
He couldn't find his knife. And they opened up the gate, and we was over on the bank. He said, "Come go with me." I said, "No, I ain't going." When I looked over before he actually got that rope cut, that canoe was standing almost up on its end. And when he got it cut, it took him about 4.5 hours to paddle his butt back up the river. He went for a ride. And I couldn't imagine being on a boat out on the Mississippi or the Ohio or the Missouri River and your boat get all jacked up. That's a lot more than a canoe.
Yeah.
A lot more than a canoe. So
one of the things I do now, and I do religiously, is I've got a buoy ball that I keep that buoy ball on my rope, and I have a big knot tied on the end with a big clip on the end that usually stays connected to the boat in case somebody lets too much line out. It ain't going to all go out.
Right.
But I've been in a couple positions. Actually, Chad, I was fishing with the Chad one day, and we had a barge come in, decided to be a prick, and swung the rear end of that barge, that motor around, and just about washed us out. And I said, I ain't messing with this. I just threw the rope overboard and the anchor in the ball and everything, and we just floated on back and got our stuff. And when he got clear, we went back up there and got our anchor, and when everything was safe.
Scary stuff right there.
So that anchor ball, man, they're like $40-$50. But your anchors ain't cheap either, and your rope ain't cheap either if you're getting decent stuff. And it's just so much safer and quicker just to throw it overboard and be done.
Right.
We got some new people that
come back and get it.
We got some new people that came in the chat. I want to say hello to Doc Lang. Thanks for coming in. Rex Blocker, Mike Greenwell, Fishing with Paula Smith. Hi, Paula. How are you? We've had a bunch of people going. We got like 66 people watching right now. Kentucky Big Cats and Bourbon, Mud Tramps in the house, Catfishing Katie Collins. Let's see what else we got in here. 1 Ton Fishing Club is in the house. Amongst a few. Yep. If we've missed you, please forgive us. We want to make sure we give everybody a shout out. Stan Smith's in the house.
Dave Funk.
Yep.
We got all kind of good people. Yeah, sometimes we miss the names. Y'all get to talking real fast and it gets biased, but we're trying to bring you some great information.
Absolutely.
So out there in the Ohio River, I'm sure your bait of choice is skipjack. Now, I'm gonna tickle your brain a little bit, is it not?
Shad.
Shad?
Shad is my number one almost all time. I'll use
I hear you.
skipjack, but shad is my number one bait.
But a skipjack in those waters?
Yeah, we have skipjack here.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, I mean, I know that it's hard to beat those big baits. They're a big, bloody, oily bait.
Yes.
But good to hear you say that about shad. I think shad, most people say it's a seasonal bait. Not you.
I say it's 12 months out of the year.
I agree.
Shad is my go-to all year long. Don't matter. Now I will use different baits, and different spring, and even early in the fall before things start changing and dropping real quick. I like to use bluegill live and cut.
Right.
And I will use skipjack most time through the spring, summer, and early fall. But towards the end of fall, I kind of back off of it. I have more confidence with the shad. I got a bait tank full of shad right now swimming in the garage.
There you go.
Thank you,
much,
go drown them.
Thank you, Becca, very much. That's very generous of you.
Oh, yes, it is. Let's see, Mark, you know all these people by name.
I know lots of them. They're all
do
great
you?
people out here in the community. SK Crappie just came in. I saw Derek come in. I'm trying to keep an eye on Chad here. SK, like I said, SK Crappie came in. He's got a great channel. So Creole Catfishing, my friend. There's so many people out there. I really feel bad. I'm trying to get everybody.
Blake DeFore, Mr. Dieter Melhorn graced us with his presence.
Welcome, Dieter.
Fishing with the squirrel. Now, Mark.
Yes, sir.
On that, tell Goober I said, hey, Roger.
Yeah.
When you're going out there on that river, and I know you was talking about the flatheads and the blues,
yeah.
What do you do different depend on what fish you're chasing?
On the flatheads, I'm anchored up. I've caught flatheads dragging, and you can. And even up here, I fish Hoover Reservoir, and it's just a big lake. People say, you can't catch them dragging baits. Well, let me tell you something. Those flatheads, that bait ain't laying there cut up on a plate for them. They got to go catch it. So dragging baits is just as natural as anything. And I don't have any fear about, but I do feel like I've got more bigger fish anchored up and just letting that bait sit, and it depends on what I'm fishing. If I'm fishing a big down tree, that's really the thing. The big difference is I'm fishing big structure when I'm fishing for flatheads, big rock piles, big down trees,
right.
Brush piles, sunken barges, things like that. And then on the blues, I'm looking for channel ledges, creek mouths, things like that. Follow the bait. It's not a whole lot different, but that's the big difference for me.
Right. Well, what you said on that is that, you can catch them flatheads when they're up and moving sometimes, but once they get in that brush, you're gonna have to go in after them, and you can't go in after them with dragging. I mean, no. you can't. I don't know. You can, but you're gonna lose a lot of freaking gear.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might hit one on the head, but you're gonna have a hard time getting to it. But it's not impossible. I've seen it done.
It's gonna be a hard time getting him up out of it.
And that's where really knowing your electronics and be able to precision anchor yourself.
Yeah.
To where you know exactly where that structure is and you can get your boat set up. I like 75 feet. That's my magic number. I like 75 feet from the structure. I always mark, obviously, the front of the structure. I want to know where the edge of it is. I don't want to go any farther than 75 feet.
Right.
And I'll try to drop it there as close as I possibly can because, 72.
Now, do you use the line counters like Lyle does?
I do use some line counters. I picked up a couple of Kumas that I wasn't happy about. I don't like the self-engaging reels on a big reel. Casting and then the handle flip around on you, engage, and then everything stops. And, I did that a few times with those Akumas and kind of got frustrated. I do use a Penn Fathom line counter. But for the most part, I'm kind of I've kind of got it figured out exactly about where behind the boat 75 feet is or 70 feet is. I've just played around enough to know. And then, of course, that depends on your depth, too. You got to count for your line going down an angle.
Right.
But, yeah, being able to drop that waypoint and put yourself right back in that, like I said, 70, 75-foot ring, really puts you at a huge advantage when it comes to, especially structure fishing.
Hey, guys and gals, if you don't have those big electronics where you can mark the waypoints or you can do this, get you a little bobber and a piece of lead. When you come through there, throw it out of the back of the boat, let it mark your spot, and right there you got that little buoy showing where you at. Pull up, I can cast it right there, and if I feed it line, it can drop straight down. Or if you drop it there, you throw past it, and you figure when your line swims back down where it's going to drop, whether you want it on the front or on the back of it. Because sometimes you might have to fish it up current, and then sometimes you might have to fish the down current side of it. Depends on where the fish are holding on the structure you're fishing, right?
Yep.
Now, Mark, I see you shaking your head a lot on some of this river stuff, so I take it that you do use some good old river fishing.
I do. I fish on the river. I don't do much dragging. Actually, I just started doing a little bit this year, so I'm just trying to soak all this in, see if there's anything I can add to it, and you guys seem to be doing fantastic, to be honest.
Well, I was going to pick your brain on some of it. What have you learned about the river fishing and watching guys like Roger and other guys that are actually river fishermen?
Actually, I watch out for like when he started saying, look out in front of you, that has to do with more than just barges and logs. It has to do with jet skiers, has to do with wake boats. The rivers I fish are narrow. It's awful busy, awfully full of traffic. So those are good tips. Obviously, anchoring up on structure, getting positioned for structure is probably one of the hardest things. You think you're just going to drop an anchor. You can't. You got to be placed right because of traffic, current, direction. You got to figure out which way your baits are going to go. Things like that I've learned in the past from others before me. So I can definitely understand. I hope to pick up some of this stuff from you draggers too as well. So
Roger, do you use a drifting sock on the back you throw out the back of your boat to help keep your boat, pulled pretty tight?
Yep, absolutely. Matter of fact, I just lost a 66-inch sock out the back of my boat 2 days ago.
Ouch.
I don't know what happened. I had the cooler. I brought it all in. It was soaking wet. And I normally shove it down in a bucket, and the bucket was full of, I just got a new cast net, and I had the bucket all full with a couple cast nets. So I set a cooler on top of the drift sock to head home. And that cooler slid off that drift sock, and somebody just found a 66-inch drift sock.
Mike Greenwell wanted to know, what does Roger do in high fast water to be successful?
I look for the current seam. I look for slower water. So I'm fishing at high water, but most of those fish and bait especially is going to move out of that quick water and into slower current where they can relax. Now, it only takes a basketball-sized rock to hide a 50-pound flathead. I mean, really, he can get behind that right in the middle of the nasty stuff. But typically, those fish are going to move out of that quick current, and whether it's because they're hungry and they got to go find a bait, the bait's in the slower current, or it's because they're getting beat up, they're tired, and there's debris and things like that that's coming down through there, and they're getting beat up with it. So they want to move to, and it's just so much easier to find concentrations of fish in that high water because they're not out there in the middle of the nasty stuff. They're pushing to the banks typically, and they're pushing behind big structure. And that's typically what I target. I'll target the current seams. I'll target, on the inside bend at times. It just depends on what the river's doing. I'll look for that slack water or, big current seam or whatnot to get to find where the
structure. Yep. Absolutely.
And that word means so many different things that people don't realize. They think structure, it's a piece of wood. No, structure. Nope. It means so many different things to different people. I mean, what you call structure, I might not call it structure, but I think the catfish community, we're starting to get them them words and them meanings closer and closer together,
Yep.
so we don't confuse some of the new people coming in. Now, when you have you got into doing much of the bumping that people are doing, like Mike
Yep.
Greenwell?
I don't have a ton of experience with it, but I have done it and I love it. Mark, in order to try to put it in perspective to you, man, it's like that thump when that crappie hits that jig, except he's big enough to yank the rod and you out of the boat.
I'm ready.
It's an exciting, man. It's exciting. We don't, like I said, we don't have a whole lot of current around here to do it unless you're right at the dam for the most part of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But we do that up at the dams. We I'll anchor up and suspend baits underneath the boat and whatnot, and then I'll walk baits back. Everybody's got different verbiage, but I'll walk bait back behind the boat and bump it back as far as I possibly can, and or we'll get the boat moving and bump down through there. I've been lucky enough to bump with a couple guys that got some knowledge and skill behind them, and I wanted to, when I got an opportunity to fish with them, they say, "What do you want to do today?" I said, "I want to bump because I've been doing it, and I need to know whether I'm doing it right or not." And I won't put him on the spot, but I proved myself that day, and I was pretty happy about it.
Good for you. Yeah, I'm making plans to do that this spring and hopefully part of the summer. So I got some people I'm talking to about taking me. We'll see what happens. We'll get it all set up. I just seen Hagen Grubbs come into the house. I wanted to say hello to Flint Hill Catfishing. I think I missed him on the first round. I apologize for that. Howard J. Diggs Jr. Let's see. Avid's in the house. I think we might have said hello to him, but I don't want to miss him. And fishing cooking with Mike Chavez. So hello, guys.
Yeah, buddy. That rascal boy, he makes my mouth water every time I watch a video and see pictures. That son of a gun, boy, he cooking up some stuff. Yeah, I'd love to do that daggum bumping part, but around here we don't have nothing but lakes. Right. Well, we've been having a lot of flooding going on, and a lot of heavy rains would be a perfect opportunity. But I don't think I want to risk my boat trying to make a run upriver to drift back down through that cotton picking mess.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of experience.
Well, not just that. When you got daggum trees after trees, I mean, last year, Dieter showed a picture of it. It looked like a whole freaking island coming down the daggum lake of all the debris that got tangled up together. It's like a whole daggum island. I just ain't willing. I'm not a rich man. I just ain't willing to tear my boat up trying to get up through there. And it being in a pontoon, so it would probably be hard to bump with a pontoon. So,
or get out of the way might be kind of hard in a pontoon.
I seen that comment there. Keith popped in and said, "Muskrat fishing, catfishing boat of the year." I appreciate that, buddy.
Oh yeah.
If you guys haven't seen the video I did, I've been through a lot with my boat, between engine troubles and, I found out all the foam underneath the floor was saturated, soaking wet, and had to go through taking all that stuff out, I've done a lot of work, top to bottom, on that boat.
That is quite the video.
Yet to come.
Check out Roger's channel, Muskrat Adventures. He's got that video on there. He goes through his whole boat from start to beginning. It's a pretty cool thing. He went through a lot of boat, and I really like Roger. It's a Sullivan, right?
Yeah, it's a 22-foot Sullivan.
Perfect. My kind of size boat. I like that deep V, 22 feet long. That's a machine of a boat.
So from the floorboard to the side to the gunnel where your hip there, it's 31 inches tall.
Ain't right.
That's deep.
That sounds safe to me.
And I'll be honest with you, that's why I got that boat. Most of you know that I've got some health issues that cause some balance and whatnot. And,
yeah, buddy.
Falling out of my boat is not one of the things I want to think about. I want to hook fish.
Yeah. That's why that's why when I decided to get another boat to redo myself, because I fish out of the other one, I went back with a pontoon just to be on the safe side. My buddy Wampus Cat's the same way. He's a young guy, but he's had strokes. So, you can't take that chance. Yep. Better safe than sorry. Yeah, you learn to deal with it. But he just said, I think Hagen said that old Quentin, he bumped out of the daggum Lucille for years.
Yeah. Yep, it can be done.
Yeah. Lyle wants to know if you use spot lock.
Oh yeah, I use spot lock, but I'm still an old school anchor guy. Now, it depends on the current and what my situation is. I like to bound down a lot, so I'll come up in an area and I'll go through there. And this is what I did the other night when I put my daughter on that blue that she caught. I just came up through an area and I'll mark several waypoints, and then I'll start at the top of it on my spot lock. I'll spot lock on it, and we'll give it 30 minutes. Now don't work, reel them up, spot lock off, drift back to the next spot lock again, fish 30 minutes. And that's what, that's one of the things that seems to put the most fish in my boat is when I'm bounded down and just constantly moving 30 minutes and I'm moving. Just
systematic eliminating water, right? Yeah, that's what I do a lot too. I find that to be real productive. Keith from Fishing and Stuff's here. Thanks, Keith, for coming in. I want to make sure. And Ohio Cat Chasers. I seen him earlier. I apologize, Derek. I didn't miss you. So there you go.
Yeah, Derek's another one I fished with so far. He's not made it to the river. We've been talking about getting plans to the river. We're having a hard time getting our schedules to line up because he said he ain't going without his girlfriend. I just forgot her name.
Yeah, she sounds like she might whoop him. She must be as big a fisherman as he is.
She is, man. She hangs right in there. She's tough. She hangs out there and fishes with him. She's in a lot of his videos and stuff. But so yeah, it's another guy that new to the river, and I want to take him out and show him and get him hooked on the river and see what he can do with it.
I'm right. Thank you, Danny, for that.
Thank you.
I guess I wasn't used to seeing the word super sticker on there. Appreciate you straightening me out on that.
Quite all right.
Brandon said, "Why was you scared fishing from Ohio Catfish Chaser's boat?" Because it's a bass boat.
Bass boat, yeah. There's something to be said for those high side boats like you have. I don't care whether you need it or not. There's that extra security. You got something to lean on when you're fighting a fish. If the water gets rough, even if you got that wakeboard boats, right, that come by, it's all out protection. You stay drier, safer, more comfortable.
The only time that boat is more dangerous than, say, a bass boat is if you fall in and you do not take one of those ladders that can hook over the side of the boat and hook on. So once that water temperature drops, I don't care how good a shape you're in,
it's hard to get into.
You get in the water 45 degrees with some clothes on, about a minute or two, you're done.
You're zapped. Yep.
You're wiped out. And trying to climb up the side of my boat, it'd be tough. Coming up the motor and having somebody trim the motor up and things like that might be about the only way to dump me in the boat. But having one of those ladders that you can lay over the side.
Or even install on the back. Have you thought about installing one on the back, Roger? They sell the ones.
I'm wanting to put a step in back here. They call it a swim deck or platform with a step ladder on it.
Right.
That's Skip Stewart. His tracker he's got one. And then Zach Murray with his Sea Arc he's got float pods on the back of that thing. It's got the little ladder flips over. And man, just getting in and out of the boat makes that so much easier because these guys use that ladder just to get in and out of the boat. And on my boat, you got to climb up on the side and throw your leg over
and get in there.
But you said about cold water, but I'm going to tell you, in the middle of the cotton picking summer, that water feels like bath water. It will zap you too, son.
Yeah.
It will zap the energy out of you, make you want to just let it roll over and lay down and go to sleep because it's just so hot. So, but
God forbid you bang your head on the way out of the boat. Someone's got to be able to get you back into it. So,
it's get tangled up in a bunch of fishing lines going down too, buddy.
Yep, a lot of danger out there.
I remember when we was in school, old boy was jumping off the bridge down there, and he hit his head. He run and was diving between the daggum bridge pilings and hit his head, but not hard enough to knock him out. And a couple of us went in behind him because we thought it knocked him cold. We never could get to him. And come to find out when they found him, he was tangled up in a bunch of old net and fishing line hung up at the bottom of that bridge pylon. And even if it hadn't knocked him out, he would have never got loose. he
Man.
would have never got loose. So, guys, if you hang up a big net throwing for shad or skipjack or whatever in the bottom, and you hanging it up and losing it, try to get most of it out.
Yeah.
For one thing, if you don't, you might be the one dragging your baits through there and losing all your cotton picking rigs in something you left behind. So, I know that you said you like shad.
Yep.
Give some people some hints on, you ain't got to tell you spots. There's some hints on what to look for to find some good gizzard shad in the rivers. And let's start right now this time of year. Where would you start looking for?
It depends on the time of day. In the morning, I'll look off the ledges where you've got a shallow creek or a marina or something that has shallow water that's going to heat up in the afternoon. All right, because once that starts warming up, the bigger shad anyway will seem to move into those areas. First thing in the morning, I only seem to pick up the small shad, 3 inches or 4 inches up in those areas. So typically I'll target right outside that area where it just gets a little bit deeper. If there's a ledge or things like that, I'll use my electronics and try to find them. Once the sun's been up for a few hours and things start to warm up, those fish seem to move back into those creeks, the marinas, docks, things like that. That shallow water heats up, and that's what they want. They want that warmer water if they can find it. And so sometimes I'll start out the day, and I might only be able to pick up a few shad to get started. But if I go through those, then I know, hey, once it gets warmed up a little bit, I'll go back out and I'll get more.
And back up in the backs of the creeks and stuff like that.
Right. So the other day, I got a marina down here, and right off the river, off Portsmouth, and it typically holds decent shad. But first thing in the morning, they were hard to find. I mean, I was throwing an 8-foot net, and it's tough to get them. You only ended up with like a dozen or so. On my way back, I threw some, and I threw once or twice, and we was loaded up.
There you go.
And that's what I got in the bait tank now. I got a tank of nice shad.
Kind of hard to wear your shoulders out so early in the morning too. It makes it rough for the rest of the day, don't it?
Yeah. That net I'm throwing. Actually, Zach Murray put me on it. It's a Betts Pro Series or something. It's a 1.4 pounds per foot. It's an 8-foot 5/8 mesh, and in my opinion, that's the best, because I just ain't made it up to throwing 10-footers yet. But in my opinion, that 5/8 mesh is perfect. That's the best size.
Does it sink real fast too, so you can hit them in some deeper water?
Yeah, it sinks really fast. I don't like mess. Now there's times when I need 6 and 7 inch shad because that's all it's in there. Mm-hmm. You go to that 1-inch mesh, those 6 and 7 inch shad still get out. And if you don't find them jumbo shad, you ain't got no bait. Yeah.
Right.
I'll use.
So how many nets you carry in your boat with you?
I always carry 2.
2? Okay.
I always carry 2. So you tear one up for some reason, or you can't get it back, then you have a backup. But I'll tell you, on that Betts Pro net that Zach had, I seen him throw it on top of a big old tree. He didn't mean to. He was up in the creek, and there was shad, just everywhere. He said, I got to try it, Roger. I got to try it. And he threw that thing in there, and it was hung up, everywhere. And he had to hook the pull rope to his boat, 200 horse Suzuki on it, and back that thing up to pull it out of there. He said, if it pops, I got to get it out. And he popped one lead line.
That's it,
the main lines. He popped one, and it didn't even break. It just come untied. And that's it. And I was like, sold. That net right there, I'm sold. Because I don't know how many.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm throwing them Walmart nets. They're Phytech, but, when you get that lower grade, they ain't the quality that you want.
You'll tear them all to pieces if you get them hung on something.
I go through 4 or 5 a year. I'll sew them until I just can't sew them no more because I'm tight. But after a while, there's no more. You can't do anything else with it.
No, I cut the lead sinkers off of them and chunk them. That's all you can do is sure enough. Well, I appreciate the little hints on finding some bait like this time of year and stuff like that, because that's important, guys. It ain't just the fish that you're chasing to catch. It's also the bait that you're going to use. I seen Dieter said something about the strawberry chicken or
Yeah,
whatever, and I see guys catching stuff with chicken. I'm just not sold on using that bait. It's I'm not knocking it. Y'all guys have fun using it. But I want to ask you a very serious question.
All right.
Each one of us want that monster fish. We want that triple digit fish.
Oh yeah.
Now, whether your waters carry it or not, I think Lake Wiley might have one in it, but the average it's not going to be there. But if you're not got nobody on the boat with you, do you in your mind say, all right, today, I don't care if I don't catch but one fish? Do you do that? Do you go out and say, I'm looking for that one fish? I don't care. I ain't going after numbers. I'm going after that one fish.
Every anchor drop is that mindset. I'm looking for that big fish. If I catch some other fish along the way, great. But every anchor drop, except when I'm dragging, like Hoover Reservoir, it's got numbers and it's getting some bigger fish, and nothing wrong with that. I have a blast up there catching what I can catch. But I'm fishing the river, and I know the potential's there for monster fish. Every anchor drop, every spot lock is that intent only, is to catch that big fish. I target the structure that I think will hold it, whether it's structure, whether that's a current seam, or whether that's a ledge. But wherever I'm at, my goal is that monster fish, one, And
so what else are you doing to target just the big ones?
Some days it don't. What's that, Mark?
Are you just using larger baits, or do you know where the bigger ones are? Where you believe the bigger ones are going to be hiding at? How do you target the larger fish besides just baits and larger hooks and stuff?
It's kind of crazy, but I switch. I keep my bait different sizes. I'll throw big baits and small baits because
elephants eat peanuts.
Huh?
Elephants eat peanuts. Absolutely.
That's a great analogy, but you're right. There's times when I've caught big fish on the smallest bait, and I thought, what in the world? But it's happened, and I've seen it happen to enough people that it's always an option. Is I'll always throw a small bait with the big bait, and I'll just let the fish tell me what they want. If they're wanting big baits, I'll make sure I'm throwing big baits, but I always have something else mixed up in there. Just in case that's what they want, and just let the fish tell me what they want.
Yeah. I think mainly the reason most people want to fish with nothing but big baits. Well, yeah, I mean, a big bait puts a bigger knot in that catfish's belly, but it's to keep the dinks off the line.
Don't work. I tell you right now.
They'll pick at it till it's torn apart.
Yeah.
That's all.
They will.
Fishing with Doc Lang down there in Alabama, he just knocked the tail off of 12, 14-inch skipjack, and he said, that's it. That's the bait. One hook through the nose. I said, are you crazy? And I'm sold on that, man. That thing bleeds. You wouldn't believe it. When you chunk that bait up, I think Hagen Grubb said something about it in one of his videos recently. Once you chunk that bait up, it bleeds out, and the oils and the blood seems to dissipate pretty quick.
Yep,
but
washes
out
quick.
That thing whole and just cuts the tail or whatever. It seems like that current, whether you're dragging, pulling it, or the current, it just seems to just pull that blood out. And I'm telling you, we drug baits. I know for a fact I had skipjack on there for 2 hours and reeled it in after a drag, and it was hanging there dripping blood. I thought, man, are you kidding me? But we get into some dinks, and I don't care how big that skipjack was, they would pick at it and pick at it and pick at it until there ain't nothing left but some spine, some ribs, and a head. I mean, big bait won't keep them little fish off.
But it'll give off more scent, right? Definitely. More scent and a lot slower. That's what I've been finding out too. It hold pieces of bait with just the tail cut off, like you were saying.
Right. Yeah. Even on my big gizzard shad, that's what I'll do. I'll cut it at an angle, like from the butthole back. I'll just cut that at an angle right there.
Right.
I'll send it out whole and just let that sucker bleed.
That's and that's little tricks, guys. Y'all can do that even if you don't have big baits. You can do that with your smaller baits too. To make you got big baits and little old bluegill, because bluegill's got a scent to it. you can smell a bluegill. And I believe if you put that little cut in there just enough for that scent can come out ever so often, that bait will last you. I mean, if you don't have much bait for that day, think about them little tricks, guys. That can make a good day for you. That might turn out to be a bad day if you didn't do stuff like that. You'd run out of bait.
You know, I hear bass guys talk about how good bass smells all the time. You ever hear that? They'll catch a bass and I'll go to sniff it because it smells real good. Well, bait fish smells good like that to the catfish. So just think about it that way. The longer you get that scent going in the water, the longer the trail is, you know, in the current, the better off you're going to be. At least that's how I think. So.
Oh, I agree. Them dish pickles do smell good because I'm smelling big old catfish when I see a bass, man. That's what I see. I don't know if y'all's water, if you can use largemouth as bait, but buddy, we can, and I'll throw a big one out there in a heartbeat. Now, I wouldn't use a trophy largemouth as bait, but you know what I'm saying.
Chad says you can also reuse the same bait if you squeeze the head, more blood than you think. I actually step on them, Chad, so that's a good tip. I know what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, I do that.
And I see people throwing the backbone away. That's what drives me crazy.
That's the spine that has all the blood in it.
Blood in it.
Duh. Tell Goober I said hey.
So when I
don't understand it.
That's exactly what I do. On a flapper, I will fillet one side from the tail up to the gills. And I will nick and get as close on that spine as I possibly can on both sides.
Yes.
And then I'll send that sucker out there, and that spine's got all your blood in it.
Yeah. And I want to ask you a question. And I've always been curious about it. Joey Kirby talked about that one time fishing. He had to fish with the tails. Every time he turned around and grabbed one of the heads, his partner already had the head on his daggum reels. And he ended up with all the tail pieces. But that day, he outfished every one of them.
Right.
If you think about it in wildlife, deer, turkeys, everything else on their hind legs have a gland.
Yep.
I just wonder if these fish have a gland. I've never seen one, and I have filleted my daggum. I have filleted probably twice my weight in daggum fish, small bluegill, big bluegill, and I've never seen anything that would even look like a gland. But I just wonder if they ain't something to that, because I've caught some good fish on the tail portions, and I say tail portions, but it's the back part of the body, and you use the head for one, and then you ain't got big bait, so you turn that thing around and do a reverse flapper on it.
I use the tails, man. I do use the tails. Now, whether there's a gland there or not, I'm not 100% sure. I'm confident that I think Paula Smith might know. When it comes to wildlife and biology and sciences behind the fish,
absolutely.
Paula Smith.
Her husband probably could. He's sharp on that stuff.
Yes, Paula Smith. I mean, she's full of knowledge, man. When it comes to man, she just always seems like she's reading and studying and the science of the fish, not so much the fish, but that's what it takes. You learn the science of the fish, and then you know how to crack the code.
Oh yeah.
Doc Lang says the tail will prevail.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Doc's a hoot, man. I've learned so much from listening to that guy, and I'm going back and watching some of the videos or some of his seminars. A man full of knowledge. Guys, there's all kind of knowledge out here. It's like I said on the show the other night. Yeah. Listen to Roger, listen to Mark, watch their videos, pay attention to the small details, pay attention to the stuff that they might forget to tell you, because they do it all the time. So it's second nature. And if they didn't do it all the time, then that means it's not working for them. So you know what I'm saying? It's but even the young people, the brand new catfisherman coming out, he might say, well, I've seen them do this, do that, do this. Well, I ain't gonna do it that way. I'm gonna do it my freaking way. Well, you know what? His freaking way might be the next best thing on the freaking market.
Go after it. Go do it. You never know, man.
Yourself into a corner if you don't leave yourself open to learn and to be always changing. I mean, it's crazy because these catfish haven't changed over the last 100 years, right? They're the same catfish they were 100 years ago. But our ability to crack the code and share knowledge, especially right here, YouTube. I mean, when I started many, many moons ago, there wasn't no YouTube to follow. I had no idea. I had to go out there and listen. I mean, I went straight to the old timers. That old fart
trial and error gets you a long way.
Yep. Watch people, look at watch for details, try to figure out what they're not telling you, what they're doing. That's pretty much how I went about a lot of what I've learned.
Yeah. Mr. Lyle wants to come back in on us before we end this show.
Absolutely.
We ain't quite through yet, but yeah, I'm ready for Lyle. He can come in anytime he wants. It's his show.
It's his show.
There you go. So,
man,
what's up, Lyle?
You guys got a bang-up show going on tonight. I hated to interrupt you, but people have been so kind in chat to me tonight. I just wanted to thank them, and it means the world to me and Cindy too that you guys think about us like you do. It just means the world to us, and we're going to try to be back on next week. I got a doctor's appointment Wednesday, and we'll see what he has to say. And we may need Mark again because it's still left-handed typing for a right-handed guy. This doesn't really work all that well. And when you're trying to type and do the stuff for the show, and I'm not real savvy on running the mouse left-handed either. But I've been watching all these.
You can just be live. You just got to talk. You don't have to touch nothing.
Well, I guess that's right, but Mark and James have done such a great job the last 2 weeks. It's just been really cool to sit back and watch somebody else do it, and I've really enjoyed it. But I'm so glad that you come on with us tonight. And
it's an honor, man. When you asked me to come on Catfish Weekly, I was like, I made it.
We got a bunch of high-powered shows that's in chat tonight, and I've been watching Mike Greenwell and Hagen Grubb and SK's Crappie Fishing Adventure. Yep. All these guys, Ryan Bort's the new guy that come out. All these guys that's come out with these videos in the last couple of weeks. Boys, I'm telling you, you've made my day every time a new one comes out because I'm not really able to do a whole lot, and I've watched them all. I found some people that I didn't know about and got to watch some of the old faithful ones that I always did. And it's just been really good because I got to tell you, if you're relying on TV for entertainment when you're not feeling well, that just –
that's the last place I would do it.
Yeah. You
thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Al.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it very much. But yeah, these videos have really been a lifesaver for me, and I really enjoy it. Now, Roger, I know that you've been under the weather and you've had the COVID and stuff. Yeah. And I don't remember them guys asking, but how are you feeling from getting over that?
I'll be honest with you. I am just now starting to feel 100%. I don't really think I'm 100%. I still get a little bit tired when I'm doing some stuff, but I don't know if that's just because I've been laying around for 3 weeks or what, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling back to myself. I'm ready to fish hard.
Good. I did get to see some of the stuff that you've done with your daughters. Very proud to see that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
She's still glowing.
I'll bet. Yeah. Is the rest of your family past the COVID stuff, or are they still involved with it?
No, it's finally free and clear. It was it got me and got my wife and got my oldest daughter.
That's good.
But we've been pretty clear for a while now. Be honest with you, could use a couple prayers. My mother-in-law, she doesn't have the COVID. I don't know how. She's got every single symptom, but she's tested negative 4 times in a row, and she's hospitalized right now.
Cindy's whole family that lives up home in northern Missouri pretty much has got it, and some of them are getting on up there. Believe it or not, some of them are actually older than me. But they're really fighting it, and you guys keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers because they mean so much to me. And I see my old buddy Dieter left me a message here that he prayed that I would come through surgery healthy, and be better shape physically and better looking. God answered 2 out of the 3, not too bad. Peter, thank you so much. I can always count on you for get a smile. I mean, always can. Appreciate that. And I got to watch some of your videos in the last couple of weeks, and I know that you guys have been out hunting, but I haven't seen any of your hunting videos. And if you've had them posted, I just missed them, and I hate that. But I've had several conversations with Creo. What a hoot that guy is. He's rapidly become one of our
I just enjoy anything he does, anything he touches. I just enjoy it.
Oh yeah, he's a blast. I know he's got a good one coming out. Palmetto's got some stuff coming up here in the next day or two, a 24-hour deal or something.
It's supposed to start tomorrow morning, I believe.
Yeah, at 7 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be something.
Good luck with that. I'm not doing that. And normally, for somebody like Kevin, I would try to watch the whole thing, but I have a doctor's appointment Wednesday for a checkup, so I'm going to be going to bed early tomorrow night because we got to drive 2.5 hours and be there at 9:30 in the morning, and I don't want to be late. They put some restrictions where Cindy can't go in there, so I don't want to be forgetting anything because she don't like it when I don't remember everything, and I don't remember everything anyhow. So, I just wanted to jump in here and thank everybody for the thoughts and prayers and all the kind words in chat tonight. It means so much. And like I say, we're going to try to do the show next week. We may have to have Mark come in if he will. Again, it's going to depend on how things go, and we'll know between now and then. And James, I'm going to send you something after the show. I want you to look at and give me your opinion on something. I'm trying some new stuff. I got plenty of time on my hands to do stuff. But again, Roger, man, great show tonight. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
It means a lot, good show. You had a great show with Mark the other night. So
yeah.
And
Mark makes it easy.
He did.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, Mark's a good guy. Mark, I've enjoyed every minute of having you on here with me.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
He's kind of a newcomer, but it just like everything falls in place for him, and that's awesome, man. That just makes it easy.
I appreciate the kind words.
Everybody.
But I've gotten so many kind words since I've been on here from everybody, man. It's overwhelming. It's humbling, overwhelming, and I appreciate every one of you guys. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much, Betty. I'm glad. I don't want to say that I'm glad that you missed me, but I kind of am. I kind of am, but like I say, I got this big old honking thing on. I can't hardly move around. I wake up in the middle of the night, and this son of a bitch is choking me. And I'm trying. It's just a terrible pain, but
I can't imagine.
In the end, it's going to be better. It's going to be better in the end, and that's the main.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, David Martin next week.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing David on here, whether I'm here or not. Lyle, David got some big fish under the belt.
Had a really good show with James on Patriot James Catfisher show on Wednesday night. I was so impressed with the fact of what them two talked about. I knew at some point that we had to get him on the show, and we give it some time to kind of settle in. And I figured I would miss the boat, and somebody would snatch him up before I did. And I contacted him, and he wanted to do the show. So we're going to have him on here, and I know that'll probably be a lot. Him and James are pretty good buddies, so I'm pretty sure that James will have all the questions and stuff for him. But I think it will be extremely educational. David is a great fisherman and catches a lot of fish. They fish out there on the same water, but I've seen some pictures of what this guy puts in the boat, and James has talked about it several different times, and a great fisherman he is. So I think we'll have a wonderful show with David next week.
He stepped up and helped me a lot in that veterans home. He come up there, his shoulder was giving him a fit. He busted his tail, and my daughter, they all come up there, and I was overwhelmed. It made my day knowing that man, he didn't have to show up. He didn't. And he volunteered his time. He said, anytime I go back. So good people like that. I know it'll be a great show.
I love that shirt, man.
I got requests in chat, so I had to show it off. Look, I can give the grumpy guy some hair too if I do this.
Oh man!
Lord.
Was I know it's time for us to go, but Mike Chavez had that pickled egg video. He done it weeks ago, and then he come back out where he actually tested that. I never had a desire to try them things. I was always afraid of, but damn, they look good when he ate that one.
Oh, they are good.
And I am a pickled beans fanatic. I love them things, and he poured them babies right in there with them eggs. I'm thinking in a few days that would just be great. So
they are good. I love them.
Yeah, me too. So, like I say, I've been catching up with a lot of videos and stuff. And James, I watched again after you posted it today, the video of how to correctly use your bobbers.
I'm getting ready to make a new one tomorrow.
A new video?
A new video on that, because them are actually the first style of bobbers I made when I first come out with it. And I do want to show the updated version. And I'm going to go with the lime green fishing line and stuff, so actually people can see it. And I got a black sheet to put behind me so that all the line and everything will really show up, and go to a little bit more detail, because people are asking. And I'm actually demonstrate also on there how Junior Proctor uses them.
Junior uses them babies.
Oh yeah.
And he uses them for dragging. And actually, Carl Wells told me today, he sent me a message earlier today that he's using them, but he took my sinker slide off of it and put one of the easy sinker slides. He said that's the way to go, and you don't have to leave it on your line. I told him, I said, well, one thing, I'd have to increase the price of the bobber substantially if I started using the easy sinker slides, because they are a good bit more expensive. So I try to keep the price down. But guys, like I said last week on my show, they're a tool. Use all the tools that you got in hand.
Yeah.
How Roger uses them, or how Mark uses them, or how Lyle uses them, whether it's a bobber or whether it's a freaking sinker.
Yeah,
it's a tool.
I use a bobber like a drone.
Like a what?
Like a drone.
Throw them up in trees?
No, I put a planer board clip on them, and like if I'm anchored up on something, I see that structure back here, 75 feet or 80 feet. What I'll do is I'll start feeding that line out till it gets back to where that structure is I want it to be. Yep, quick twitch of the wrist, and I'll drop my bait right there on top of their head.
Wow.
I can just send that straight back behind the boat, and then when it gets where I want it to be, drop it.
And that's, I noticed you guys was talking about line counter reels earlier tonight.
Yeah.
I am a believer in them. And a deal like that, with me keeping my range finder in the boat all the time, I can range find how far I want to be to drop that bait, and I can let that line out with that line counter reel, and I can drop it right exactly where I want it.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's got their own little tricks. Doc and I have told each other for 20 years that we would share anything that we ever did. I believe in my heart, Doc always has done that. There's only one or two little things that I never told anybody. That was one of them, but now everybody knows that. And the reason we always kept those range finders in the boat was when people would get too close to you. And I never wanted to have to be the guy that complained about it. But when they park right on top of you, sometimes you have to be able to prove that it was happening. So we never did use it, but I've always had it. But I always figured that there was another way. It's just something else. And those bobbers, you just let that bobber out back to that brush pile where you want it. If you know that it's 60 feet or 80 feet or 20 feet from the boat, when it gets back there, just click her off, because you've already got it down where you need to be, and you're hung right there where you need to be.
I got this spot whoever has an island, and on the inside of that island is completely loaded with down trees, and they're sticking up out of the water. I mean, everywhere. It's just so easy to anchor up in front of those things. Of course, I'll throw some baits, but then I always have that one. I'll try to walk back there, just send it back, and then just drop it.
Yeah,
It's
great idea. Great idea.
I don't do it all the time, but
Yeah.
Right.
like you said, it's a tool.
Yep. What was you saying, Jim?
Daniel Ishmael said something about, has anybody tried the Demint bobbers yet? I've
Did
never
I?
heard of them.
Didn't know they had them.
I hadn't.
Must be a new product.
Must have. I hadn't heard of them. I had to look and see what they are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never said just use only mine. Try. There's a bunch of them out on the market, guys. Try and each one and see which one you like. Each one of them does, something different. You can use them different ways. It's just a tool, guys. Just a tool.
Creo, my bumping rig is not that much of a secret. I will pull it up and do it on the show before bumping season comes back. It's really close to what Mike Greenwell uses, and we'll do a show one of these days on bumping, and I'll have the rigs laid out to where I can just lean back and show you and get all that and do that. Maybe we get Doc to come in for a show like that if he's got signal. Hagen or somebody like that. Hagen, I've been very curious about your bumping rig too. Well, Hagen, we'll make it happen. Just as soon as I get this arm out of this sling and I can pick, because right now I'm on 1 pound restriction and it's not going to increase for a while. But once we get to where we can do some of that, we'll lay it out there, and we'll get some other guys to come in here with us and do that. And Hagen, we would surely love to have you and your son on Catfish Weekly if you ever decide you want to do a show. I know that it's hard to get everybody hooked up to do everything, but you are welcome anytime you want to be on there. So just let me know.
I enjoyed having him on a long time ago when he was first building up, but now his channel's actually blew up.
Oh,
and congratulations. He's earned it. I mean, I love watching him and his son fish. Anybody fishing with their kids, I enjoy it.
that
kids outside.
When he dropped Hughes net, now running off his phone hotspot, that probably works better.
That's what I'm running here. I don't have any. There's no service out here, which is crazy because I don't live that far away from you. I gotta use AT&T hotspot.
You read that, didn't you, Lyle?
JR, I'm not. I'm gonna leave that with you, buddy.
Hey, JR, what's up, man? Nice seeing you.
I just saw that.
Yeah, Jason Moore, you're right. And that is one of the reasons why we went ahead and had that surgery done, because the last time Cindy and I went to catch bait, we went bluegill fishing with some ultralight stuff, and I made 8 or 10 casts, and I had to put it down. I just couldn't take it. And at that point, I knew there was something that had to be done. As bad as I hate being in this sling, it's better now after surgery and 2 weeks of surgery than it was before. And I know I can't throw a cast to even an ultralight yet. I know that. But
you will.
Still, I will get there, and it's just going to take some physical therapy and different things. And these exercises are bad enough. This 10 machines, I like it pretty well. Ice is my friend. Ice is my friend. All right, guys. Have you guys got anything else to visit about besides?
I was going to reply to Daniel. He said he just takes them plastic bobbers, drills a hole in them, throws some BBs in there because they're real loud. And Daniel, I actually just come out with a rattling bobber. So
Great
check
idea.
it out. But yeah, loud. Roger, Mark, I enjoyed it.
Oh, me
too, man.
Yeah,
it went by really fast.
Roger, tell everybody about your show for tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow night, it's 8:00 Eastern time. We got Zach Murray, and Zach Murray, in my opinion, just has a really cool success story. How he transformed himself to being, a guy that catches, eater fish, and how he transformed himself into catching consistently big fish. And I just wanted to bring him on and let him share his story because I think it's phenomenal.
There's
a lot of folks out there, I think it could relate, as myself did a few years ago, how to transform, to get to that next level. So
yep,
should be fun. Should be a good time. I'm
looking forward to it. You're right.
Yes, sir.
P3, you are correct. Ice and electronics is wonderful things. So it is. And Betty has brought up the thing. about the Mendota trip.
Yeah.
Mark, do you have any new information on that?
No information yet. It's still the same dates. We need to get those dates posted on the page. I was trying to figure out whether to create an actual event or not, but I think we're going to do that. We'll create an event and let people pass it around, see if they want to, claim if they're interested or if they're going, and this way we'll get a better count that way.
Up there. It's going to be a blast, and I know there's several of us that's planning on going. Roger, I don't know if you're familiar with our trip to Mendota and Cherokee.
Yep. I'm wanting to make it.
I would love to see James make that trip. I know he's got a bunch of stuff going. That's a long way for him.
It is.
It is going to be a lot of fun, and there's going to be a lot of trophy channel cat caught, and
a lot of smack talk.
And there's going to be a lot of
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you get the Ted and Dee and James Dockery and Katie and Mark and myself and Roger. If you can make it up there, Betty and Brandon's going to make it up there. Ace is going to be there. I'm not sure about Avid. Some of these other guys.
I've got a bunch of people coming too that I've heard from, a lot of other larger YouTubers and stuff. So I don't want to start mentioning names until they actually have accommodations and stuff. But it should be a good time for everybody. I know a bunch of people that are coming from here just because I'm only like 2 hours away, so I can talk.
Yeah. Well, I hope Jonathan and some of them guys can make it.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't think that's going to be a problem. We'll get setting hooks out there. Ryan, also known as
we need to hire somebody to be a cameraman. Just to come up there and video this, because I want to see the blooper reels from this one.
Everybody's going to have their phones. I'm sure we can come up with some sort of central place for people to donate videos to the movies.
Oh,
thank you again, Mudtramp. Very good.
Sir.
Thank you so much.
Man,
I
she's on
appreciate it so much. You're such a sweet little young lady. Thank you very much for the donations tonight. That's $50 from her, and means the world to all of us. We thank you so much.
Doc Lang just said he's in for Mendota.
Doc Lang is in for Mendota.
Oh, yeah.
Doc probably drive up. He knows where Southwest Missouri is at. If he can either come up and go with us, or if he brings his boat, wants to do that, then we'll road trip together, or however Doc wants to do it. But I know Doc dearly loves giant channel cat.
All right, everybody. I promise I'll get those dates posted tomorrow. As far as accommodations and stuff go, I got to figure out exactly what our options are. We looked at a couple of like Airbnb options. There don't seem to be any on the lake. There are some in town. It's in the middle of Madison, Wisconsin. It's a big town. The lake takes up a huge part of it. You got Mendota and Cherokee, right? Is the other lake, Lyle?
Yeah, Cherokee, and it's the shallow lake, and that's where they go to spawn. So,
that's where we're going to be.
Yeah, that's where the fish will be, and we'll try to get everybody gathered up to get a bunch of bluegill, because little squares about that big that's what you want. They just work really good. Roger, thanks again. Appreciate it. Next week, David Martin. Thank you everybody for watching Catfish Weekly. We'll see you next Monday night.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.